Wheelock College in Boston celebrates its centennial.
How do you like it? Isn't it nice?
Daniel Cheever is 45. He's been president of Wheelock for 5 years.
Hi, Olive. Will you cut our ribbon?
Today joins alumni and friends of Wheelock to open a new building on campus.
1, 2, 3.
All right.
Going from public education, having been a school superintendent for 10 years, to a president of a college was unusual, but it came at a time in my life when I was really ready to do something quite different. I was 40. I had talked with friends who were in other fields about possibly switching careers and realized that I had a lot of investment in what I was doing and a lot of experience, and I wasn't just going to walk into a corporate boardroom and be CEO of a major company. I had paid my dues in one field, and that's where I'd reap my reward.
The one thing which makes life worth living is to serve a cause. And the greatest cause that can be served is childhood education. 13 million American children live in poverty, here in America, which is still the wealthiest country in the world. 13 million children. I think that's where we at Wheelock come in. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice show. Nice show. Really nice.
What influenced me looking back more than anything, my father, which I didn't realize at the time. He was and is a teacher, and he also is someone who all his life has been a teaching person, which most of the times is wonderful, but not always.
We don't need the jib to get underway, Dan. No, but we don't need it with this boat. It'll be quiet unless you want it.
Almost every summer weekend, Dan Cheever sails with his family on Cape Cod Bay. Other members of the crew, Dan's wife Abby, 43, their son Charles, he's 19. The boat's been sailed by the family for decades.
So, you see, it's brass and all polished.
Daniel Cheever Sr., who's 70, teaches the art of sailing to his granddaughter Abigail, 17.
My great-grandfather built a house here first. We would race once or twice a year in a special race for old-time boats. And I was ballast, and I spent my time hanging over the rail, being drenched by Buzzards Bay waves, chop. But it was a great experience, the 3 generations sailing a boat.
With his son Charles, Dan does his best to stay in shape. He quotes a leading expert on physical fitness.
As Mae West said, I have everything I ever had, only it's 6 inches lower. My weight has sort of gravitated to my waist, and I'm a little heavier than I wish I were, and constantly trying to lose weight.
How did it look?
I'm aware of not being as strong as I was, of having less stamina, even though I do run and exercise moderately. I'm not a fanatic or able to do it as much as I'd like. And I don't like the fact that my body is starting to, if not wear down, at least is not the one that I've felt has been with me all my life. I sometimes feel as though I'm occupying somebody else's body, or apprehensive about changes that will happen in the future. I think my crisis, and it wasn't a crisis, but my change came at the age of 40 when I decided to stop working as a school superintendent after 10 years and go to higher education. So I think that's the point when I had the biggest changes in my life, when our son sort of went off to high school and his adolescence really began. And also when Abby, as a lawyer at that point, had practiced law for probably 3 or 4 years, and so she was really entering the phase where her own career was taking shape.
I like that.
You did it?
So our relationship needed to adjust as well.
Probably the hardest thing was for Dan. He all of a sudden was in a position where he wasn't coming home to a wife with a meal on the table. In fact, he was coming home to take a babysitter home and to put a meal on the table for me, because I got home considerably later. So that's probably where, he had probably the hardest adjustment to make.
Well, we've worked through all of that, and I'd say for the last year or so, we've had been in a phase. She's now practiced law for about 7 or 8 years, and this change in roles is a decade old, and it's acquired a comfort and a mutual respect that is really quite nice, and which I hadn't expected. So that has been a big turning point. And then the last one is saying goodbye to our kids, which is a dramatic way of saying that they're going off to college.
Will you be with people here for the whole next week?
No, I don't think so.
They're going. And I mean, my children, they're going to be gone. I'm not very old. I mean, I'm only 43 years old, and my last child is about to leave. I mean, that's horrible.
I think that a lot of adults have a hard time relating to kids in high school.
They become more your friends and less your children in the sense of small children.
No?
Certainly become more independent, which is both wonderful and sometimes scary for us. And I think leaves you also with the mixed feelings of the freedom you'll have being just a husband and wife again, but at the same time the terror of wondering whether
We should swim over here.
you will still have the same kinds of interests and common concerns and activities that you did before your children were born. That's where we are now.